What if the thing you've been calling procrastination was actually perfectionism rooted in fear? What if those spiritual gifts that you were taught to suppress and dim were never meant to be silenced? Welcome to the Hart Felt Podcast, brought to you by Solistic Ministries, a church without walls where we have sacred conversations on all things righteous, divine, and sovereign. Before we get into all the introductions, I want to pause and pray. Take a deep breath. Allow us to get grounded with one another. Exhale. Inhale. Disregard and let go of any energy that is not valuable to this present moment. Exhale. One more time for the ancestors in the back. Inhale and exhale. Gracious God and divine counsel, we thank you for this time to sit in stillness and be one with ourselves and this community. I ask that as we enter into this container of knowledge and information, that we obtain that which is for us and release that which is not. We ask for divine covering and protection as we embark on sacred conversation. Allow this message be divinely sent to the listener that it is meant to receive this message. We ask that we remain open and clear. Allow our intentions to align precisely with our goals. Allow this to be a moment of connection to help us through any situation or circumstance that we may be enduring in this time. Let this experience be elevating. Let it be enlightening. Let it be healing. And let it be in love. And let it be offered in the highest form of love, peace, joy, and goodness. Ashe and amen. This has been a journey getting to recording this episode. Just episode 1. It has been literally a journey in this one night, having to record 3 times, because when it is divine, and all that is not tries to interfere with what is divine. I done had to cleanse, clear, all just to record episode 1. But here we are, and we're going to get through this. Ashe, ashe. So in coming to creating, there was just so much. And now that it's kind of ironic that it would take even the little bit of, we'll get to transitions, but even the little bit of energy when you are shifting into a higher self, a higher level, a higher dimension, or any transition opposite from where you currently are. It is always a little bit of static that takes place, right? But making the decision to finally get here and record today and getting to the seat was a process. And pressing play was a process. And this actually being the second run on an alternate day of getting this done was a process. So in understanding the magnitude of the process, I understand the magnitude of the impact. So Ashe, we are here. This podcast is long overdue for anybody that is like, I ain't really nobody. Not to say I ain't nobody, because I am somebody. My grandmama told me so. But I've done this podcasting, or I have dabbled in the world of podcasting before. And it still felt like the hardest thing to actually get to. from the journey of starting the first one with somebody and the waiting period of I want to still do this with you because we started this experience. I wouldn't even know nothing about podcasts, to be honest. Then maybe, who knows, in an alternate universe if I would know now, but then this person is the one who introduced me to this platform or this expression outlet, right? So getting here and all of the process, the things that I thought I had to be and what it had to do and how it had to happen, all of that was a part of the process. In creating this new podcast or creating Hart Felt and creating this ministry and coming to now where we have Hart Felt, I wanted to make sure that I created something that was me, that was magical and mystical and holy and sensual and creative and light and gentle and hard whenever. I wanted to make sure that it was all things that sacredness embodies to me. So in this first inaugural episode, I wanted to open up with not just introducing myself, but more so sharing myself and what it took for me to fall forward into divine purpose. And bear with me because I am going to be making sure I keep up with my notes so I don't get off track, because I could do that. I'm human. And I'm also getting downloads as I'm conversation, because I'm almost always channeling and gotta stay centered, gotta stay protected, guarded, all that. Anyways, so this podcast, in the creation of wanting to not only share myself, but also wanting to make sure that this space felt like home to those that are seeking just a deeper spiritual sense of, or just a deeper connection and a sense of spirituality to God, to your ancestors, to all that is creation. And it may not necessarily look like the way that you expected your spiritual life to look like. And my hopes is to show the expansiveness and all that your spirituality is for you. And nobody can take that. And I am on a healing journey, because we all are, and it's never ending. And it just like life shifts in different moments. And I just want to have more of these conversations, because although I feel that they are being had, sometimes there is this separation. And this is only speaking for my local community. I'm in Houston, Texas, but I'm from the DMV, period. But I'm in Houston, Texas. And the spiritual community, or a lot of the spiritual events, a lot of times you come across are separate. You have men here, women there, and it's not really a cross connection in this healing process, especially when one of the main things people book a call for and clients come asking is like, is it him? Is he gonna get it right? Can I do da 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 da? Everybody's always so worried about love and relationships, but then don't want to have these vulnerable, open, candid conversations with their partners or in the presence of the opposite sex or gender or whatever it is. So are you actually having sacred conversation if it's isolated conversation? In this experience of just saying fuck it, for real, I've been in this space of transition for a while. 2026, spirit, God, my ancestors, everybody, all of them, God and them. That's how we will forever refer to them as God and them. And part of it on me not to start the year working for someone else. And I needed to decompress my mind, body, and spirit and enter into this new year gracefully, slowly, softly, gently. And I did just that. I took a mental health leave because everything that's going on, we're not going to talk about, and getting to know me, and I hope you stick around for a while. But in getting to know me, there's a few things I want to say before you continue with the story. I'm not an astrologer, but I do understand the stars. I'm not a numerologist, but I do understand how angels speak in numbers. My gifts, as I hope you get to see, and I will be as open as I can with all of them, are expansive in terms of they run deep and I feel deep. And it took me a long time just to understand the energy in my gifts and mastering that. When Nipsey said, master your energy, that just mastering my energy, nobody else's, because that's not my business. Just to get to mastering my energy has been powerful for me, from those that I have had the privilege of observing or watching or working with. And my hopes is not my hopes, I hope with this podcast that I do have can impart that. And if there's a question that I can answer, let it be that. But anyways, back to the story at hand. So where was I? In trying to move forward and leave and deciding I was I'm gonna go back, but what am I gonna do with this time off? Like, my time was clear, then take a month, chill out, into family, blah, blah, blah. And throughout that process, they were also saying, also pour some time into your business. And what do you want to do this year? Like, what do you want to accomplish this year? And because my energy is so big, and sometimes my light is so bright, sometimes you can blind yourself, as a friend said. Wasn't sure how I wanted to, what I was going to do with the time. I knew, okay, what I wanted to get done. Let's see what we can, things set up before we, back into the office and the workforce and all of those things. As I was preparing to go back, I had a clear idea of what I was planning, what I was prepared, so that I went back. My time was not in vain, and I was able to be all things, because I'm not trying to do that. Like, people and women who want to be super women, more power to you. I need to move slowly, gently, and softly over here. You got to be gentle with me over here. I'm not trying to, that hustle, but I never wanted to be a man. And nor the man or none of that. I never gave that. So, I wanted, so while doing this, I'm like, okay, I need to make sure everything is clear and that I have a plan so that when I do go back, my time and energy are all balanced and I'm centered. I got a lot done during my time off. At some points, it felt like I wasn't getting enough done. And mind you, there were a lot of transits going on. If you follow astrology, we get to know each other. I'll share more of that I trust with just astrological messages. I'm going to write everybody's name down because I don't know them off the top of my head, but other spiritualists that are helping with understanding our universe. We'll definitely, sharing those recommendations throughout our journey. But all the things that were taking place, just felt like I was doing a lot, but not getting enough done. So much so that I burned out. Not to mention, I had at the end of the year, I had an art show that I went through a lot. And a lot with this art show, from planning to conception to feeling divinely aligned, but not quite being divinely aligned, and then moving. It was literally a journey just to get to this podcast, but I'm grateful. And finally, as I'm the week of couple days before, and I've been preparing to open up this space and preparing the messages. Like, I wrote messages and had outlines and researched this and researched that, typed up the day of the actual scheduled first recording, typed it up, and went to sit down to record, and it was gone. The entire message was gone. And I'm like, what is it going on? Because if Y'all calling me to do this. Why is so much static? Mind you, we were still shedding in the year, the snake year was still shedding. I grew up in the church, and not just a kid that went to church with their grandma and he was involved. No, we were the pastor's kids. And not only were we the pastor's kids, we were the bishop's grandkids, and come from a line of pastoral energy or priesthood. And in growing up, the church is the perfect breeding ground for spiritual gifts, especially melanated people. A great way to go back to, especially if you are into hoodoo or Ifa, Santeria, having strong spiritual backgrounds or strong spiritual upbringings, you can have an inclination as to what your spiritual gifts are. Sometimes you have a little bit more higher intuition than those who just never, or other experiences. But anyways, I grew up as a church. I grew up in the church, pastors, kid, grandkid, all that jazz. And I remember seeing spirit move and feeling spirit move. This is where I learned that I was an empath. But by the way that the older people would always give me game or come share their entire lives and their experiences. I just always love talking to the elders. It's just something that has always been a thing for me that I've enjoyed or that I'm used to. And sometimes it felt like they needed that listening ear. And then sometimes I felt like I felt honored that they wanted to share. You know what I mean? And growing up in the church, being a person who feels deeply and immensely, you start to, I'd be able to identify. I felt like I could identify spirit and identify God, identify spirits, what was good and what was evil. No such thing as bad or whatever, but evil. So in sitting in that environment and also having an auditory experience at that time, I remember my family still jokes about the time I told them that God told me to study the word. And they still joke about this, about the way that I heard it, because I was a kid. I heard it very, and I am a big energy. So it's like, I heard it very theatrically, like God sounded big, and it was like, study my word. And I was like, oh, shit. Let me tell y'all what God told me. And I felt like so empowered that this is the experience that I had. But had I had the proper mentorship and guidance, which there were some, but never fully honed in the things that I know now, maybe I would have known a little bit sooner. But the journey is still the journey, and all of us must take our own course, right? I'm trying to get back to my notes. But so growing up in church, and then we always I remember this one lady one time was on the ground, sprawled out, and everybody have a wig falling off. So this is not just like your average. Oh, I feel like every black church done had somebody's wig flown off during catching the Holy Ghost. And witnessing that this lady was a whole nother level. And it was almost like it was whatever the spirit was that was inside of her was trying to grab hold of one of us, something that was light, and it was bent up, and it kept pulling at, I want to say it was pulling at my mama. Yes, it was pulling at my mama, and just trying to cling to the light, that when the other leaders came to pull this woman or this spirit off of my mother, it was in a weird grin. And that was my first time sensing a strong, protective spiritual energy within myself, so much that I got closer, but I didn't know what. Was I gonna kick it? I'd have kicked it. I'd have kicked the shit out the shit if it would have, But my mother stood there sovereignly, unmoved, and did this thing, clapped her hands, and started to main the energy, or like tame the energy, as it was like grabbing onto her and other people. She wasn't really, to me, it didn't look like she was moved by that moment. She was just instant, and that's the only way that I can describe it. It was just like innate reaction to calm the energy, which we now know as, some people will call it Reiki, some people might call it laying on hands, or just sending energy and blocking, guarding. There are different ways that we can utilize our energy to protect our energy, or to flee, shoo, but we'll get there. But more importantly, the reason why this work is so important to me right now is because there has been a mass awakening for definitely the last 5 years. COVID came, shook the shit up, woke the shit up, and millennials and Zers ain't fucking with the bullshit. You ain't just gonna tell us some shit and we was gonna be okay with it. So we already came to elevate this consciousness further and further. However, we are currently now in the state where the amnesia is wearing off, and more of God's people, the chosen, those who are feeling the pull and the nudge to come forth and feeling like the work is greater than them, we're being called to the front, and we are being asked to position ourselves and structure our passions in a way that will create total sovereignty, that not just elevates us as an individual, but it elevates our community, and it elevates the collective consciousness as a whole, just by doing what we were called to do, whatever that looks like. Mine would be coaching and serving in this magnitude, sharing messages and downloads, and having conversations about things that help guide us deeper on our walk, and ultimately guide us closer and deeper to ourselves and our true sovereign selves at that. So I'm wanting to create more spaces that reach far beyond just me, my local community, because there is a soul tribe I feel out there farther than my hands can reach. And I would be remiss if I said that I was confident in my mission, I understand my purpose, if I did not try to reach all, make sure that I have the ability to reach as many as I am called to reach, however many I am called to reach. So on this journey, we'll get into some highs, we'll go into the depths, but most importantly, I want to allow myself to be transparent in everything that I'm here to do, in every message, in every conversation, every time we sit down and we vibe and we breathe together. I want it to be intentional and to be sure that the energy that I am emitting is aligning in love and light with those that are meant to receive it. But all I can do is do what I'm called to do and be obedient to the calling. So as we close this first episode, I am so glad that I made it. Cause damn, recording, fucking up, people calling after I know I hit do not disturb. Let us close out in a meditation. Inhale in processing the fact that you are just here. Exhale. Consider what brought you here. Why do you feel that this message or this introduction of who, whatever, is getting to know each other. What caused our paths to align? What were you seeking? What were you embarking on? What are you embarking on? What transitions are you currently? And whatever that may be, I ask that you get comfortable and continue to go on this journey with me as we feel through it, grow through it, so that we can one day utilize the wisdom and share it with the next generation in hopes of creating a lighter, more sovereign land. Inhale, let us show gratitude to our ancestors for aligning us, aligning our energies, and aligning our path as we move on to our next destination. May we be met with love. May we be met with light. May this conversation sit with us. And what am I chosen to do? What is my calling and purpose as the world is becoming more conscious, and truly we are reaching the marriage of heaven and earth. So as we continue to go in our own directions, may we move in love. May we receive abundance. May we experience joy and flow and freedom until we meet again. Ashe. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for just sitting with me on through this first one. I want to hear what you all want to discuss. Please follow us on all of our socials. They will be linked down in the description, and connect with us on all of our socials. Tell us what you liked about this first episode. Is there anything else that you'd like to dive into? Is there any guests that you'd like me to reach, topics, whatever? We are going to definitely get into guests for sure, but I just wanted it'll be you and I mostly, but we will have sprinkles here and there, just different insights and perspectives. And definitely want to hear from you all. Let me know what you like, don't like. Scratch that. Definitely want to hear from you. Want to know your thoughts on this experience. What do you feel like you're called, and how you can contribute to the collective, not only just but just how do you intend to fall forward into your divine purpose, and just keep going, because whether it's right or it's is better than wishing you had have done it in the first place. Thank you so much for being present with me through this experience. Thank you if you made it to this part, just thank you for receiving me as I shared more, and as I continue to share more. I look forward to getting to know you. Peace.